All right, Miles, let's talk about a team that you and I like to talk about all the time. It's one of the more exciting teams in the NFL, and that, of course, is the Miami Dolphins. Fresh off a huge victory of the Chicago Bears, heading into another critical weekend. This is a Dolphins team that just seems to be getting better and better, and it all starts with their gunslinger at behind center. And, of course, I'm talking about Tua. And I know you've got a very interesting story about what the Dolphins are doing with Tua and why it's just proving everybody wrong that didn't agree Tua was a franchise quarterback. But before I hand it over to you, I want to hear from Dolphins fans in the comment section below. Look, this offense is ridiculous. There's no doubt about it. But this Miami Dolphins franchise is known for large parts of its time as having elite high-flying offenses. You have the years with Dan Marino. You have the running game with Larry Sonka, Jim Kick, and Mercury Morris. Yes, I know those guys for all the old heads listening in. We want to hear from you in the comment section below. Give us the offense that you really were impressed with for any Dolphins team at any point in history. Not this team. Give us a different year of the Dolphins offense that really impressed you. We want to hear from you in the comment section below. But Miles, let's hear about this year's Dolphins and this year's Dolphins offense.
Yeah, Nick, I think you notably told me a funny nickname or clever nickname rather for the Dolphins, the greatest show on surf. So, this offense for the Dolphins
Hashtag.
has been pretty crazy. But, you know, it's very reminiscent of something. And I read an article over on CBS Sports, and it reminded me this Miami offense might as well be located down in Tuscaloosa. This is very reminiscent to Tua's time in Alabama. And I think the key here is that the Miami front office has realized how important it is to get your number one guy comfortable. And they have done everything in their power to turn this Miami offense into something that is reminiscent of Tua's time at Alabama. So the first thing Chris Greer did is he bolstered the O-line. He got Terron Armstead in a monster deal. Then they bolstered the receiving core because Tua was used to playing 4 future first-round draft picks around him when he was in college. And to pair with Jalen Waddle, they got Tyreek Hill and that monster trade as well. They went all in on the offensive side of the ball. And the metamorphosis was not complete there, Nick, because at Miami, Tua had a number of brilliant play callers. Saban was the defensive guy. He had some great offensive coordinators as well, whether it was Daboll, Loxley, or Steve Sarkisian. There's a number of guys there, and they go out and get the young, offensive-minded genius in McDaniel and bring him in as well. And this is kind of what they were going for. They wanted to make this a Alabama-like offense. What do you think about that, Nick?
So, for years, we've heard it every time the Patriots, the Dolphins, a bit of rival, of course, are on TV. You always hear the pundits say, oh, Bill Belichick is so good at making the other team's offense uncomfortable. That's why they're so tough to play the Patriots. All they do is make the other team uncomfortable. Well, the corollary to that is, Miles, that from the offensive side of the ball is like, well, if making me uncomfortable is what the defense is trying to do, why don't we do everything we can to make the offense comfortable? Sounds extremely simple, seems very obvious. A lot of teams don't get it. A lot of GMs don't get it. A lot of front offices don't get it. They get their their young gun rookie quarterback. They don't surround him with talent. The Jaguars struggle with this. The Jets struggle with this. I mean, the Bears, of course, have struggled with this some. What do the Dolphins do, led by Chris Greer front? They get their young rookie quarterback, or not rookie anymore, but at the time, what do? They start loading him up with guys, right? You got Jalen Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Connor Williams, you got Armstead. You bring in an offensive-minded young coach to pair him up with McDaniel, just like you said. Again, this is just really smart. This is what you do. When you have a young, dynamic quarterback that you think is your future, you go all in and surround him with everything to make him comfortable. In the case with Tua, that's giving him an environment just like he had in Alabama, because at Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, Tua was one of the all-time great college quarterbacks. And right now, what we're seeing when he gets in that similar, at least sort of similar by NFL standards, environment in Miami, he can be one of the great quarterbacks in the National Football League.
But the comparisons don't stop just at the signing of coaches and players, Nick. Let me run some numbers by you, okay? Tua at Alabama, his average depth of target, 9.8 yards. Now with the Dolphins this year, 9.7 yards. His average time to throw at Alabama, 2.7 seconds. At Miami, 2.5 seconds. His play action rate, Alabama, 43%. In Miami, it is 45%. Getting the trend here, Nick. And finally, percent of passes thrown in under 2.5 seconds for Tua. At Alabama, 48.8%, 52.8% with the Dolphins. So it's almost as if this is an Alabama offense on steroids. It's a little bit bumped up in most of the categories, Nick. But isn't it staggering how similar every aspect of these offenses are for Tua?
Well, yes and no, right? So any NFL offense, and frankly, any major college offense at this point, it's all basically the same schemes and plays. Everyone could have the same playbook if they wanted to. It's all about packages and formations and what plays you call and when you call them. And that's exactly what we're seeing out of Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins here. Is he recognizes what plays and when they're called that were successful for Tua at Alabama. He's calling the same plays in the same situations, right? All the slants, taking the shots down the sideline when appropriate, lots of play action, getting the ball out of his hand quickly, right? He's just calling the same plays in the same time that he did that were called for Tua at Alabama, and he's doing that in Miami. And we're seeing it work very well here. And again, Mike McDaniel coming from the San Francisco coaching tree under Kyle Shanahan, this isn't what they did in San Francisco. They were very under center. They did the power, the zone game and the bootlegs off of that we see now with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco that the Rams use, frankly, a lot with the Los Angeles Rams. Same kind of offense. This is a completely different offense. That's why a lot of credit goes to Mike McDaniel here by taking that same offensive structure and just changing it around, calling the right plays at the right time and not calling the plays that he may have been more familiarly called with in San Francisco. Smart move by McDaniel and everything he's doing here with Tua.